morning from day 2 of training. Outfit today is uniform day, so they're asking us to bring our rollerboards in so they can verify that it's the right size, etc. My uniform shoes are in there. And yeah, ready to go. It is, come on, watch. Oh, I guess 4:56 a.m. Y'all, it's day 2. It's 8:31 p.m. It's bedtime. We have a 4:15 a.m. shuttle in the morning. 5 a.m. tomorrow, we have our first proficiency over the opening and emergency announcement, which I personally have been studying for maybe 2 weeks. They sent that information for us to study ahead of time. So some people have been studying longer because they found it beforehand. It's on the internet, whatever. I've been studying maybe, I don't even know if I can say 2 weeks, but I feel about 95% confident that I pretty much have it done. There's just like one last 2 or 3 sentences that I just need to kind of memorize a little bit more. So hopefully I can just pass it on the first time tomorrow at 5 o'clock in the morning. If not, we get a retake, and that would be on Friday, I believe. But anyway, just to recap what was done today in training, we put in our base bids. We put in our base bids, and there are 11 bases and 2 satellite bases. I bid for Houston as my number 1 because I'm from the H. Dallas is my number 2. Austin is my number 3, but Austin is a satellite base, which I more than likely, they don't award satellite bases to new hires. I'm pretty sure is what they said today. So number 4, I put Phoenix, which I think is a senior base, but if y'all remember, if y'all been here for a minute, my friend Fawn that I flew with at JetBlue, we were roommates in New York, she lives in Phoenix. She now flies for Delta. But I was like, well, heck, if I can just stay with you while I'm based there, you know, well, when you're not, whatever, that will work. So that's why I bid for Phoenix, and then I did Vegas, and then Denver, and then the rest of them. Let me see. The rest of the options, Vegas, and then Denver, and then I think Fort Lauderdale, then Orlando, then Atlanta, then LA, then Baltimore, then Oakland, and Chicago. Those are the bottom ones. So we put in our base bids yesterday because they do base assignments tomorrow. So I might know what my base assignment is tomorrow. If not tomorrow, definitely Thursday. I'm excited. I'm excited. If it's not Houston, I might go home. JK. So anyway, so that was good news at the top of this morning. I squealed when they said that because, I mean, honestly, we didn't know when we were going to get it. Like of course, they've been starting the training here every Monday. 2 classes. They've been pumping out. They've hired 3,400 flight attendants just this year, and we're the final class of the year. 3,400 flight attendants. Insane. Wow, that's insane. I could go on and on about how many flight attendants. So many flight attendants. I think at Envoy, that was like the total amount of flight attendants we had. Of course, JetBlue was a little bit bigger, but still, like, that was probably almost, a lot of people. And then after that, we did uniform fittings today. This being my 3rd training, I have realized not to even like be combative or trying to fit in what I think fits best. Let them give you whatever and take it and go home and get it altered. Because, you know, they want things loose and comfortable so you can bend and stretch and move. So basically they had me in potato sack bags. I got 2 pieces of pretty much all of the clothing items except for like the button-up gingham shirts. I never wear those type of shirts, so I didn't even bother getting those, but I got 4 dresses total, 2 of the 2 styles of dresses, 2 pants, 2 skirts, 2 shorts, 2 polo tops, and 2 this other style of button-up shirt. Cardigan, belt, indoor outdoor jacket. I think that's it. And then what else did we do today? We went over basically how to use our flight attendant manual, our iPad, went over that. Just classroom stuff, nothing super significant, honestly, worth even talking about. 2 of the in-flight directors came in and talked to us today. Yeah, that's it, y'all. So I have my little flashcards here with the announcements on them. So I'm gonna just kind of repeat these out loud to myself. I just took my ZQuil melatonin, and I'm gonna go to bed. Set my alarm for 3 a.m., 3:15. Shuttle departs at 3:15, so I'm gonna set my alarm for 3:15. Just thinking about 3:15 is exhausting. Good night. Good morning. Forgot to tell y'all good morning before I left the house, but it is 6:37, and I just passed my first proficiency test. The announcements. Woohoo! Outfit of the day. Cute. Hey y'all. It is still day 3. I just woke up from a nap. It's 5:19. We got back to the hotel we got out at 2:15 today. We got our base assignments. And as y'all can see, I'm not jolly, so it's not good. Oakland. A quarter of my class got sent to Vegas, which was one of my preferred secondary options. And the rest of us got sent to Oakland. So that is just what that is. I'm not happy about it. But that's what it is. I passed my announcement, my PA test. I told y'all that this morning. And now we're really getting into the swing of just learning the rest of flight attendant training. So today we started working on pre-flight. So learning the emergency equipment and how to pre-flight the emergency equipment, and a little bit of location. They let us walk through the simulator, open up cabinets and storage compartments and all that stuff and see where equipment is. So we have that proficiency or assessment, I forgot what they call them, on Friday morning. Tomorrow we have something, but it's super simple, and just some homework and reading to do. So it's also Wednesday, like I said, and I told myself I was gonna work out Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So I'm gonna head downstairs, probably just gonna do some treadmill so I can read a little bit from my IEFB, our flight attendant manual, our FAM, little iPad, just like all the other previous airlines. JetBlue gave us an iPad, Envoy they gave us a phone, but it's all the same thing. So at least I'm super familiar with that and know how to navigate it. Yeah, so I'm gonna do that. I'll tell y'all why one, it's Oakland. Who wants to go there? There's nothing there. It's expensive. You know, it's hard to find crash pads. Not that I would probably even really be looking for one because I'm trying to avoid it. But I'm in the last class of the year. I may have mentioned that already, which means we are going to be the bottom of the totem pole for at least a solid month. The airline I'm training for has been they have hired 3,400 flight attendants. Yeah, I know I told y'all this the other day. 3,400 flight attendants this year alone. So that means people's seniority is just rising very quickly, which is a great thing in the aviation industry. The higher your seniority, the more options and flexibility you have with your schedule, whether you're a reserve or a line holder. So from the conversations that we've had, we've known that we were the last class of the year since we got here, or even prior to getting here. It takes 4 weeks for a class to graduate. So we graduate November 18th, and a new class doesn't start until January 2nd. So we won't have anyone more junior to us until that class graduates. So that gives us roundabout the end of January, right? I don't know. I haven't really looked at dates. So in my mind, I'm just like, all right, well, if that is the case, that means November, what did I say? They start January 2nd. January 2nd is a Monday. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So they would graduate January 27th, and they actually get 5 days off after training. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they would actually start February 2nd. So until February, I wouldn't have anybody under me more junior. And that's it. That was kind of my situation when I was at JetBlue. But then I was younger and I was more gung-ho. And I wasn't busy. So now it's a little different. And then also they are going to be pausing training again. So they're going to do trainings the month of January. The good thing about that is that they heavy load these trainings. So let's just say on average 100 people graduate from each training week. I'm gonna say week because they do 2 classes a week, AM and PM. I'm in an AM class, there's 62 of us, and then there's a PM class of about 60 people. Give or take, they have a little more or less in each class. People fill out, so I'm just personally rounding it off to say, let's say 100 people graduate each week and hit the line. So if that's 4 weeks of that, that's 400 people that would come in potentially under me in the month of February, or at least at January when they kick back up January classes. But after that, they are taking another break of doing initial flight attendant training because they are moving the training facility to a different building. So they now need time to get this building and facility ready for the new training candidates. They said that's going to take about 2 to 3 months. So after we get that influx of flight attendants in under us, which is good, and hope prayerfully that'll at least get me to Houston or closer, to a base that I would actually just even want to fly out of. If not, who knows? So a base really isn't the end of the world here, especially with how much flexibility you do have with the schedule, being able to pick up out of base and things of that nature. But it's just a simple fact that, like, if nothing seems to work out, like if at the end of the day nothing works in my favor and I have to report to base and I have to sit reserve there, it's Oakland. That's just how I feel. But it's a part of the process, and y'all know I know this, but I still have the right to vent, so that's what I'm doing. All right, I'm done with that. I wanted to tell y'all about these meals that I got too. Factor. Y'all know I don't be doing sponsorships and stuff like that on my channel. I probably should, but I ordered these Factor meals, and I had my first one today. I ordered their keto meals, and I had my first one today. It was actually pretty good. I personally am not liking the food at the training facility. I think it's bland, a little flavorless, just basic. So I had pre-ordered these before I had even got here, so I knew they were going to be arriving yesterday, and it was good. And hopefully, you know, I can lose a little pound or two. So I got 10 meals yesterday, so I did bring my little food bag, my cooler. I packed that up, and I had my Factor meal for lunch today. I'm gonna have one for dinner, And yeah, that's my eating situation now because that's it. All right, Jim. Okay, hello vloggity vlog. So this is Alexia coming to you from the future. I realized that I didn't really go into good detail about what's the thing called? The announcements. The announcements and like the anxiety that came with that and all of that, because I was just so stressed when we found out our bases that day that I didn't yet take the key. I'm at in Oakland right now, sharing the hotel with some girlies. But I just wanted to kind of tell y'all what the whole announcement proficiency is like. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to calm anybody's nerves because it is just stressful. But so they how far in advance did they actually send us the announcements? Like 2 weeks?
2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah. So it was like 2 weeks in advance where they actually send it to you. Find them on the website. The company sends them to you 2 weeks in advance. If you're on the Facebook group thing, they have them. And then y'all saw me with the little laminate ones. Clearly you can make them yourself, but somebody on the Facebook group was selling them. And I'm just too lazy to make them myself. So I purchased them from her. And that was just the opening and the emergency announcement. Now, I don't want to say they only test you on those two because honestly, they could switch it up at any point in time and test you on whatever announcement they choose. Because in the thing that they send in advance, it says to know all of the announcements. Isn't that what it says?
Yeah.
It says to know all of the announcements verbatim so you can recite them. Now, it has become just well known that it is just the opening and the emergency announcement that they're going to test you on. So most people just study those. They break you up into smaller groups. So our class at that time, how many people do we have, Julie? Like 62, 63 people? 61, something like that. Yeah. And so they broke us down into like small groups of like 5 to 6 people, and you all went to a different classroom with a different instructor. I will say, depending on the instructor, kind of depends on how fluid and verbiage and all of that you needed to be with your reciting of the announcement. So I'll be super transparent. Do you want to share your experience, Julia? You can think about it. I'll tell them mine first.
I'll think about it because our person was very like.
Okay, so it really is going to be dependent on the instructor that you have. But you go up there and they tell you to choose which one you want to say first, either the emergency announcement or the opening PA. The opening PA is shorter and probably just a lot easier to learn, I would say. What do you think? You think it's easier to learn?
The opening? Did I do opening or emergency first? I think I did emergency first because it was harder. So I wanted to just get that one out the way, and then I did opening because, yes, opening is easier. Okay.
So I did opening first and then emergency because that's the order that you do them in on the aircraft. The opening, I got nervous just because, like, I'm just, like, you just get nervous. Like, it's like people are, well, you know what? The people they weren't even really watching us. You know, like, my group was really good about, like, just kind of turning around and not staring at you just because everybody knows that your nerves are just, like, about to explode.
Yeah, we didn't look at the person, and I honestly think she told us not to. Or she told us, like, you can't shake your head.
Yeah, you definitely, and that's another reason, you cannot give any body signals.
You can't clap
that, you couldn't do nothing. You know, you just let the person go up there, recite. So I just pretty much had my head down or kind of turned around and just kind of like this. Because I'm going to tell y'all this, go first if you can. Because after I think I went like second to last, or it was 6 of us, I think, or 7 of us maybe in my group. And I went like kind of towards the end. And after you hear so many people saying it, and if they're not saying it correctly, it can mess you up a little bit. So I know nobody really ever wants to go first. And then there's some people who are like, let me just go first to get it over with. So that's just a little tidbit for y'all. But I did my opening and I did it fine. And I did it slowly too. That's the other thing that some people like, they want to rush or like kind of feel like they need to say it like they're on the plane and have all kind of, animation with it and just sound like super confident in it. They're not looking for that. They're just looking to make sure that you're saying the right words. Right. So I took my time. I thought it out. I wasn't like talking like super slow like Eeyore or anything like that. But I wasn't just like rushing the sentences. I made sure before like I could kind of visualize it in my head, the paragraphs of how I studied it and things like that. So I just made sure that I kind of like said every sentence before I started the next paragraph. I would just, is that them? Yeah. So I did my opening just fine. And then we go into the emergency. And I pretty much did the emergency the same way, slow and steady. But I will tell y'all, after everybody goes, you go and sit back down. And then once everybody is done, they call you back in one by one to tell you if you passed or failed and critique. So when I went back in, I knew that I wasn't like 100% smooth with it, but I wasn't sure if I was like bad to the point where I was going to have to like retake it, because on the emergency, I know I was stumbling a little bit. So he was like, first he said, well, first you don't have to retake. And I said, oh, hallelujah. And then he was like, the only thing you did was you flipped two of the paragraphs. You said one paragraph before you were saying the other. He's like, but you said them verbatim. You said everything you're supposed to say. You just put them in the wrong order. So just make sure that, when you're practicing it, you just put it back in the right order. And I said, okay. So I got a pass for that. But I feel like if I had another instructor that was a little tougher, I could have possibly had to redo that whole thing.
Yeah, that's why I feel like it's like there's room for error there, because also they'll prompt you too. Did they prompt you?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for that. They will prompt you, but only a little bit. So like to rev up your brain for the beginning of that sentence. Like if they know like you're trying to think of like what's that first next word, they may say like two words like, and then you're like, oh, okay, that's that sentence. Mm-hmm. So they will do that for you. They're allowed to do that for you. Mm-hmm. All of them will do that for you. But I feel like if they're having to prompt too much, and I did hear of a scenario where somebody kind of went up there and like just completely froze and couldn't get anything out, they'll just say, okay, sit down, move on to the next person. Mm. So it just, unfortunately, it is just kind of like who you end up getting.
Yeah, exactly. It depends on the person.
Let me let y'all meet Jalea, and y'all can subscribe to Jalea too. Okay.
So yes, I would definitely agree that it depends on the instructors. There is room for error. You will be prompted if you kind of forget a little bit. They'll try to let you know like what comes next. And I think that as long as you don't completely blank, like Alexia was saying, and you show that you actually put in the effort to study and learn the announcements, then I think you'll be good, because they're not trying to fail you. So I think just put in your best effort to learn and study, and you'll pass.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good point. They say, we know if you know it. We can tell if you know it. If you get up there and it looks like you just started studying last night, we're going to know. And if it looks like you're just kind of like having a moment of humanity and you just kind of blank for a second, then they know. So, Adriana, tell me when you're done eating. Adriana was in. Oh, you can say now? Okay, I'm coming. Okay, this is Adriana. She was in the PM class. Me and Jalea were AM. Okay, go.
So for me, for the announcements, I think there were a couple people in my group that froze. Mm-hmm. You were mentioning that some people kind of like went blank.
Completely.
Yeah, and that happened to a lot of people. They knew their announcement. It was just the fact that they got really nervous. They were probably not very comfortable saying it to begin with. So I do remember there were a couple people that would just not say anything, would stop. And they would prompt them, but they couldn't continue.
Yeah.
They would get the first couple sentences, words, I guess, and they couldn't continue. So it was kind of hard to see that, because you were like, oh my God, I'm sure they know it, it's just they're nervous and they don't want to fail.
Yeah.
Everybody, I think, doesn't want to fail. Once you're there, you're like, I better do it. I better finish. So for me, at least, I knew my announcements. I didn't have any issues with them. I had studied prior to getting into training. So when they say know your announcements prior to training, I would highly recommend that. So just be confident. I think that helped me. Just ignore everybody who's in the room and just say them. So that's it.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Did y'all have anybody in your class that left because of the announcements?
No, not in my group, but in my class. You know what? No, left.
Everybody stayed.
Everybody
I think we had one person for the announcement retake. It was super early on, but I think we had one person fail the announcement retake. Yeah, we did. Remember, it was the short little mamacita, the shortest one in our class, and she had that pretty blonde hair. It was week 1, day 3, so you really can't remember people.
I was going to say, yeah.
But anyways, I shouldn't even describe her. My bad. But
right.
Yeah, we had a couple of retakes though. That was for sure. I think we had about we had a lot of retakes actually. Probably about
10. My class.
10. Yeah, I think we had like 6 or so retakes on the announcements, and only one person went home from that. So, anyways, y'all, just wanted to jump in from the future and give more detail towards that, because I know that is what most people stress about when it comes to training for this airline. But once you can get past that, it should be smooth sailing. Should be.